Coming up for 6:15 on the AM Report. Great to have you with us this Tuesday morning. Let's give you a sense of the big stories we're chasing for you at this hour. Almost 9,000 new infections and 111 more deaths have been recorded in South Africa, and that's just in the past 24 hours alone. Plus, truck drivers, we understand, are expected to embark on a nationwide shutdown today in protest against foreigners in the sector. We'll be giving you a whole lot more details around these stories and plenty others that we're going to be watching on our diary this morning. Let's start perhaps in the courts, where we're expecting former Eskom executives, that's Frans Tlhagudi, to be making an appearance. And you remember, he's facing allegations to do with the 30 million rand of tax fraud. And this is an issue that's been ongoing for quite some time. And typically, we expect these court processes to be dragged out. We're not quite sure what we can expect today, but Zanda Ngobo, our reporter, is going to be in the specialized commercial crimes court, that is, to get us a sense of how those proceedings get underway. Plus, Mweli Masilela keeping a close eye on some developments in Mpumalanga, as you know, and he's going to be keeping a close eye on the Temba Hospital, where we understand that staff members are threatening to go on strike over issues that you and I have become quite familiar with now. Matters and concerns around PPE, whether or not there is enough done to ensure that those at the front lines of the pandemic or fighting the pandemic are not affected by its most adverse effects. We've heard in the past about how particularly black nurses in the sector are neglected, for lack of a better term, and are not necessarily shielded in the ways that they should be. So Mweli Masilela will be keeping a close eye on how that story develops for us in Mpumalanga. Plus, the Joburg budget, you know, has been an issue that was highlighted even on this show yesterday, and it comes amid threats, of course, that if councillors in the city of Johannesburg are not able to actually get this budget passed in time, they face the very real prospects of, in fact, being placed under administration. Awambali Tetani is going to be having a conversation with the mayor of Johannesburg, that's Jeff Makubo, to get a sense of what his plans are, given, of course, that without a budget, you're not able to respond adequately to the pandemic, and it comes right in time for Gauteng possibly replacing the Western Cape as the epicenter of the outbreak. And we know that Johannesburg in particular is one of the hotspots in this province. We'll get you a sense of how that pans out. In the northwest, you might have heard on our headline the story that emerged even from yesterday. Cooperative Governance MEC in that province, Gordon Gikagile, passing on yesterday. Some details are still a bit murky. We understand it is COVID related, but Zintle Kanyane, who is our reporter based in that province, will have a sit down with the family, get a sense of how they're feeling, what they knew about perhaps his health moments before he might have passed on, and whether or not there's anything else to learn from that. Zintle Kanyane there on that story. And this story is likely to take over headlines, at least for the greater part of the morning, and depending on how things go, possibly into the afternoon and evening as well. And this has to do with threats from the truck driving industry, potentially looking at a nationwide strike today. We know, of course, that in an environment where we're constantly moving around goods and merchandise, this is likely to hit an already limping economy even more. Malungelo Boy on that story for us throughout the course of the morning.